There's entire GitHub repos, blogs, articles built around this single question. What should I build? A lot of times when you're trying to learn something, maybe Laravel or Livewire, React, Inertia, Vue, whatever you might have, fill in the blank here for a specific tool. What project should I build to learn that? And this is going to be a little bit of a different video, probably a quick video, but I just want to share what I think you should build if you're learning Laravel, or if you're wanting to learn Laravel, what should you build? But I'm going to take a different approach, because I don't think the question should be what projects should I build, because most people would probably have here, okay, maybe I should build a to-do list, or I'll build a Pokemon name generator, or I'll build a journal app. And I'm not saying that any of these ideas are bad. I don't think they are. They're actually great. And yeah, we might use these as some examples, but in this video, I want to encourage you, if you are saying, and you found this video because you're like, okay, what projects should I build with Laravel, or what projects should I build to learn Laravel? I'm just going to say that it doesn't really matter. And I say that because it doesn't really matter what you build. It matters how you're learning to use parts of Laravel that I think are extremely crucial, and injecting them into how you build. So for example, let's take a to-do list. If I was to build a to-do list, I wouldn't want to just create a to-do list. Now that's great to learn the basics of CRUD applications, to be like, okay, I'm learning how to do CRUD within a Livewire or React, Inertia, Vue app, what have you. Yes, that works great. But let's take it one step further. How can we implement things that are specific to Laravel and some of the magic that Laravel brings? So if you're building a to-do list, maybe you're also adding the ability to send email notifications when 10 to-dos are checked off for a user. And also within CRUD, you also want to make sure that it's scoped to authorized users. That way you can learn the ability to scope specific to-dos to authorized users, in this case, like a multi-tenant type of application. Or you could send email notifications. And when you're sending email notifications, maybe it's for every 10 to-dos that have been completed. Then you think, okay, what if I want to send them on a schedule? I don't just want to wait to see if 10 to-dos have been completed by a user. So maybe every day at midnight, we run a scheduler. And then we check if a user has 10 to-dos completed since they last received a notification. Now, all of a sudden, you are dealing with emails and events and notifications and schedulers and cron jobs, all the stuff that makes Laravel tick. Now we took our simple to-do list, and maybe even on this scheduler or the email notifications, we can push those into a background job. Now all of a sudden we have a really intense full stack application, an application that uses pieces of Laravel that we know and love. But now you're learning, how do I take this silly little application? A to-do list isn't anything fancy in any way, shape, or form. But then you start to learn, okay, the next project that I'm building, even like a journal app, in the case that is a to-do list, just pieces moved around a little bit. I'm creating the ability for my users in a journal app to say, okay, every day we'll add a piece of information, a to-do, if you want to call it that. We'll just rearrange the models. But we might still be able to say, okay, maybe we'll send an email notification every evening saying, hey, make sure you fill out your journal. And then we'll push that to a background job. And then we'll also have to set up emails to do so. Then maybe we want to sync this. Maybe you have multiple people who are journaling together. And then we could even learn something like Laravel Reverb for real-time collaboration. So does it matter what you want to build or the actual project that you're building? No. Start with a simple idea. And if you can't think of anything, start with the to-do list. Or in fact, the video that I created for my 3.5 hour long Laravel Livewire tutorial started with, I like to send my wife emails, notes every single morning. And so I created an application where I could type up the note And then every morning it would send it to her email. But it was not just for me, it was any user who created a user account in this application. So it was a project that basically just started as a to-do list, or maybe like a journal app. And I added piece by piece of specific background jobs, emails, and a scheduler. So, does it matter what project you choose? No. If you can't think of anything, start with a to-do list and start to add these things. And here's what I would say. Instead of what project should I build, what pieces of Laravel should I learn in my project? Or maybe what pieces of Laravel should I add in my project? And here's the pieces that I think are incredibly crucial to use, to learn, to want to build, because then it forces you to think of what additional pieces can I learn of how Laravel functions, of how Laravel is a full stack application, but how can I force myself to think of new ways to add those within your particular project or idea. Again, it doesn't have to be any of these. Doesn't really matter the project idea. It matters how you're learning the pieces that you actually need to learn, so that when you are in a real world project, or maybe just something that you have an idea for your own project, SaaS, whatever have you, you're like, oh, I know how to do that because I learned how to do background jobs for a silly to-do app. So here's what I would think that you want to learn. Learn how to send emails. And usually within that, you also want to learn how to add them to a background job or a queue. Next, I would say notifications or events. This is when something happens in your application. Now I want to send an email. And finally, I would say a scheduler. If your first project in Laravel, or maybe your second, third project, wherever you're at in your Laravel journey, incorporates these things, I think you're well on your way to learning how to use something like this for any project. If you want to add another one in there, I would say something like real-time notifications with something like pusher / reverb, etc. Each one of these pieces is going to give you incredible valuable information that you have learned and accumulated as you build things with Laravel, so that the next time you run into a project, you're like, I know exactly how to do that, because I used a scheduler every night for a to-do list to check if someone's completed 10 to-dos. And now I know that this real world project in your job, or even in a job interview, you can automatically say, I know how to do that. It'd be best as a background job. Here's what we're going to be looking for. So stop thinking, what project should I build? Instead, just start building something and think, what pieces of Laravel should I add in my project to learn, to build, to create? So keep creating.